Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Revelations with Rowena. Good news, friends. I'm working with a friend who is really good with audio engineering stuff. So perhaps we will have a professional version of my cute little ditty. But that's neither here nor there. Today, I am super excited. I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately about all of my guests, but it's true. I'm really excited to have Kristi Sullivan here today. We're going to be talking about human design, maybe even do a little mini reading of my chart. And we're going to talk about how to stop overworking and start overflowing by learning more about your human design. So, Kristi, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. It's so great to be here, and I'm excited too.
Yes, yes, yes. So before we dive into human design and looking at my human design chart, tell folks, how did you get on this journey? How did you become this human design expert, self-care expert, author, speaker, all the things? It's amazing.
Yeah, so for a long time, I think like a lot of people that I cross paths with, I've always enjoyed personal development and self-growth. I discovered yoga 20 years ago and started teaching it. And then about 6 years ago, I heard from a friend through a coaching program I was part of about human design, and we learned the basis in her program. And it really caught my attention, sort of like yoga did, where I was
Mm.
just really amazed at what the information told me about myself, how unique I was. And human design is about your energetic blueprint, which really resonated for me because I enjoyed like learning about the chakra system in yoga. So at the time, I was also working a 9 to 5 job, trying to create a business in health and wellness,
Mhm.
and feeling overwhelmed,
Mhm.
overworked, and like things were just not flowing.
Mm.
And human design helped really me to see that I wasn't really aligned in the type of energy flow that I was uniquely built to be.
Mm.
And when I discovered that, I started to make some shifts. The awareness was definitely there. And then in 2020, I actually shifted from a marketing career that I had into fully a full-time business, and human design showed up for me again. I followed it, and I'm now teaching and sharing it because I think there's so much for us to talk about and to share with the world that they don't know about human design. So I'm here to help spread the word about human design.
Yes, I love that. So can you walk us through when you say that you weren't energetically aligned with your human design chart, with your blueprint, what did that look like and what was the misalignment there that you weren't following through with? Yeah.
Well, when I grew up and through my life, I'd followed, like many people, this mantra of work hard to succeed. It was sort of the ancestral messaging I received. I'm from Eastern European family, so we
Mm,
work hard and study hard and get good grades and climb the career ladder to
yep.
eventually one day retire and then live with like more freedom. And what I learned through human design is that doing the right kind of work, first of all, for the energy type that I am as a generator, is really important.
Mhm.
And that means work that lights us up every day. It also means that we have this magnet sort of inside of us and are meant to be responding to opportunities that come our way.
Mhm.
Opportunities that are really here every day for us to respond to as soon as we wake up. And so I felt more like I was pushing and initiating, which I recognize was not really the energy of responding.
Mm.
And just shifting that started to help change things for me and helped my energy align more to the generator than I am.
I love that. Okay, so you mentioned generator. Perhaps it might help folks if you are able to walk through the different types, just because I know there are people that aren't familiar with human design. This is their first, hearing about human design. So could you quickly walk us through the
Sure.
different types? Yeah.
Sure. And let me also state human design blends together astrology, the chakra system, Kabbalah, I Ching. And so it is based on your birth date. So if you were to go online, you can Google a lot of information about human design, find a website where you input your information about your birth, your time, and your location, and your design chart or graphic chart shows up. And this is really how you were encoded, so to speak, with your operating system at
Mm,
birth. It doesn't change. Obviously, things like personality assessments take into account how you were brought up, your life experiences, and such. But human design is really who you are at the core, sort of
mm,
underneath all those layers. And there are 5 energy types that we start with, but knowing there's 2 billion combinations, it's just the starting point.
wow.
So we're really not all boxed into one group like your astrology sign, but
Mhm,
rather when you start to take a look at the different pieces of your design, it goes much more beyond the 5 types. But
mhm,
what we start with are 5 types. The majority are the generators or manifesting generators. They make up 70% of the population. And we're the worker bees. We're here to get things done and follow through with tasks. And we really enjoy doing the right kind of work. And then there's the manifestors that are 9% of the population, and they're here to initiate, create, start things. Now,
mm.
we're all trying to be like manifestors by making things
Yep,
happen,
yep.
but it's their energy that's uniquely built for initiating versus
Mm,
responding. And then we have 20% are the projectors,
mhm,
and they're the types who are here to help guide and direct and manage the energy of the others. They kind of provide advice and
mhm,
guidance and wisdom.
mhm.
And then 1%, the rare reflectors, are here to help provide sort of feedback to the health of the community and the direction. And I don't say much about reflectors because they are rare. So usually
Mhm.
listeners are one of the 4 other types that I mentioned.
Yeah, just recently a friend of mine found out she's a reflector, which was what? Yeah, so hi, Kristen, if you watch or listen to this someday, but I just found that to be fascinating. I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's such a rare type. There's a reflector in my circle." So, yeah, I'm sure folks would not be surprised that I am a generator. Little worker bee over here. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to give the very brief but very helpful version of all the different energy types. So, do you want to talk more about just how you integrate human design in general, or do you think it would you want to dive into the chart? I'm open to what you think would make most sense here.
Yeah, I'd love to dive into the chart in a few minutes, but I do want to say, even though the majority are generators and you
Hmm.
hear like we like to do work, we like to be busy and productive, I think it's really important to get the message out there that all of us just need to be really aware of using our energy correctly
Mm,
and in a way that doesn't lead to burnout. Um, and we're seeing that, I think, more right
yeah.
now than ever, this whole great resignation, people leaving jobs because the environment doesn't fit them. And remember, environment is also energy, it's part of your makeup since you're spending time in certain environments.
Yeah.
Many types, or I should say, in your design, there can be aspects of energy centers where you're
Mhm.
taking in the energy from those around you. So it's really important to be aware of what's the environment like, who are the people you're surrounding yourself with,
Mm,
what are the emotions, are you taking them on? And
mm,
we really need to just start to be aware of not only aligning our energy but being aware of the energy around us, and at the same time honoring who each of us are uniquely and that
mm.
other people are built differently.
Yes.
So, and that's the thing with this great resignation is that when you're in a corporate box, people are taught to follow and do things a certain way, follow the formula. We're
Mhm.
programmed to, achieve and to do it in a way like other successful people have. Well, if it worked for them, it should work for me. And I think we just have to start to honor that we are different energy types And we need to understand what is the best way for us to express who we truly are at our core. And that just means honoring ourselves as well as, again, honoring others. And I think things can really change when we start to do that.
I love that. I love that you brought forth the great resignation that has happened. I think with everything going on, at the time of this recording, we're still not quite out of COVID-19, but I feel like that, we call it the collective retreat, that we were sitting with ourselves. We didn't have all these distractions, and we're realizing, yeah, that we don't have to follow these societal conventions of work, work, work if that doesn't serve you and doesn't honor your human design. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and also the fact that not everyone is designed in the same way. We all have our unique blueprints. I know I have clients and friends who are projectors, and my husband, for example, is a manifesting generator. So it's it's interesting to once you get a sense of your design and then seeing who the people around you, what their designs are, and then being able to, okay, how can we coexist in this environment, in this space, in a way that really does honor us, so that we don't get overwhelmed and overworked. I love that you brought that up. It's such an important
Yeah, and no matter what type you are, the other thing that I've discovered that I like to speak about is self-care, because
point.
self-care is really critical more now than ever. But in order for us to really get to our energy alignment, and part of that is recognizing that we've been conditioned through life. We're taking on just not just the energy of others, but the beliefs, the ideas, the thoughts, programming throughout our life, especially
Mhm.
in our younger years, from not only parents and family members, but even from authority figures and teachers and media. And so we need to do some inner work sometimes to
Mm.
clear conditioning that doesn't work for us, self-limiting beliefs, heal traumas that we may have experienced in life that have energetically created patterns within us. It could be patterns in the mind as well as physiological patterns. So
Yes.
when we do the self-care at a deeper level, not just eating well and exercising, but also just how do we nurture ourselves so that our
Mm.
core being feels vitality and healthy and energized. And for some of the types, it also means extra downtime and really giving yourself permission that, like the projectors, the manifestors, reflectors, they really work in short bursts and
Mhm.
cannot really do 9 to 5 straight work. It's better for them to have more flexibility. They should be aware of like going to bed before they're tired and getting some rest. The generators, on the other hand, need to be sure, some of us, that we're moving 30 minutes a day and using this sustainable energy of work and workforce and life force that the generators have that other types don't. So when we're aware of that self-care piece, that's also another way for us to, express and be in alignment with our design.
I I love what you said about a deeper self-care, right? I would love to know your thoughts on, the idea of self-care and how it's, mainstream or sexy for self-care to be bubble baths and, these sorts of things, like having a glass of wine. I appreciate you saying that, self-care runs deeper than that, especially when it comes to our human design. Can you speak to that and how, self-care has gotten a bit commercialized?
Yeah, yes, for sure. And I've done talks on self care, and also in one of my books, I talk about 3 levels of self care. The first I
Mm.
talk about is the first level is sort of like the commitments we make to, oh, I got to get healthy, so I'm going to change my diet, or I'm going to set a New Year's resolution. And sometimes those last for just a short period of time. I also think of it as like taking a vacation. You commit to like stepping away from your life, but then you eventually come back to,
Yeah.
the regular routine. So I call that sort of occasional self-care. And then you've
Mhm.
got daily self-care where people are being more aware of how are they eating or exercising? Are they
Mm.
doing maybe some meditation or journaling, things like on a daily basis to integrate. And sometimes they take a break from it, but they come back to it because it becomes part of their daily routine.
Yeah.
And then you've got that deeper level, the third level, I call it, where you're working maybe with a practitioner or just doing some real introspection and healing
Mm.
work. And any of those are great. You need to usually start at one and then start working towards the next
Sure.
level. But I want to also say there's some tips that I give. One is self care has to be a priority. It has to be something that you put into whether it's your schedule or just mindfully, like brushing your teeth. It has to just happen more naturally. And you have to set boundaries sometimes, say
Mm.
no to things, put your self care first. The second is to make it simple. It doesn't have to be luxurious or expensive or taking
Right.
a day off, although those are nice too. But it can be really like taking a few breaths,
Mm.
setting a timer to do that, or writing a gratitude journal at nighttime. Something that is, again, simple and doesn't have to take a lot of time. And then the third is to make it essential. And
Mhm.
this means, again, like brushing your teeth or the oxygen mask that we've heard of.
Yeah,
You
yep.
need to make sure you're doing self care in order for you to then be able to show up for others and to show up with more, again, energy and vitality in your life. So it's not what the media shows, I think, where you have to go out and buy the latest thing or experience the latest trend. It's about what works for you, what works for you right now in this
Mhm.
phase of your life, because self-care can also change over time for you.
Yeah, I love that it can change at any given moment or time as we evolve and change, and to honor that, and that there's an intentionality with the self-care, but it could be to the point where like you said, it's brushing your teeth. It becomes second nature as it works for you. So those are all great tips. I love the different levels. We'll make sure to add the link to the book that you referenced, and in the show notes as well, so that folks can read up more about that.
Definitely great.
So shall we dive into the chart?
Yeah, I was going to suggest let's go there
Let's
next.
go
And
there next. I think that's a good transition.
I love to just chat about the host and their chart, just to give audience members like an example of what happens in a typical reading. And
Sure.
just to say, there's a lot of information online. You can do a lot of self-study, but I always recommend it's more interesting when you can talk to somebody who's studied human design.
Mhm.
There's a lot of great practitioners and coaches out there who use human design, and I like to go through the chart starting at the very beginning, the first layer, which is about your energy type, and we said that you're a generator.
I am.
And then what's really important is the strategy that the generator should follow, which is to respond, to wait and respond to opportunities. Just notice when you're initiating. And it's just come so easy for us to do that. So it takes some practice to really be willing to just wait a bit, or just
Mhm.
to hold back and not jump so quickly. Although, when you do make decisions, we look at what's called your authority, and you've got sacral authority. You've got this gut response that you can use to make decisions about what is the right opportunity for you. You can ask yourself yes, no questions, and then you answer from the gut response. It sounds like
Mhm.
uh-huh or uh-uh.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's really something, again, that some of us may be out of touch with, who have this sacral response, and we just need to practice and build that muscle. How are you doing with it?
So once I found out that I am a sacral generator, it's definitely been a work in progress to feel into that energy, because just in the short time since I've discovered human design, yeah, it resonates for sure. And I even found myself, there are still instances that I'm working on where I I say yes to an opportunity when there's an and I go for it anyway. And then, we go to that not self theme of frustration. So yes, it's a work in progress. We're getting better, but like with any muscle or what have you, we're getting there.
Yeah, and that's a great point that not only, sometimes the generator wants to say yes to everything.
Yep.
And what will happen is we're saying yes to things that really are not perhaps the right opportunity for us or at the right time.
Hmm.
And frustration is what I call the red flag. That's when you know that you're sort of out of alignment or maybe doing something that again leads to overworking, overwhelm, or burning out. And so it's important to listen to frustration. It's definitely something also that can be helpful. Um, the next place I usually go in a reading is to talk about the different energy centers, and there's 9 of them. We talk about where you have definition or consistent, reliable energy, and where you have some more openness that is more, you take in people's energy and amplify it. We talked about that. Like you have the open emotional center. So you can often feel other people's emotions. And when we were younger or not knowing, we would sometimes think that's how those are really our emotions. We have to deal with it. We have to do something. So we might develop coping mechanisms like people pleasing or avoiding conflict or being
Oh man,
nice.
I feel like I'm getting like, yeah, it's me. Yes, Kristi.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It's amazing how I get that response a lot. People feel
Yeah.
validated. They feel like, wait, where's the camera? And it's just great to have the awareness and to say, oh, okay, there's a reason that has been happening. There's a reason for it.
Mhm.
And that we also have conditioning that we may have been told, to deal with emotions or, sweep them under the carpet and
Yeah.
things like that, that may not be healthy.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed about your open centers is that you've got an open head, open root, and this means that you put a lot of pressure probably on yourself
Sure
to
do.
be answering questions, following through on ideas, following through on tasks. And an open head and open root is like a pressure cooker. So
Oh
just
my
to be
goodness.
aware.
Yes, yes, that is so funny. I literally right before we hopped live, I was working on something where I talked about the pressure and how I felt like an instant pot, but not in a cute or delicious way, right? It's that so funny. Yep,
Yeah.
that's true for sure.
And why that's happening is you're feeling pressure that really from other energy that's not
Mhm.
yours. And so this is really important why, again, some downtime for you as a generator or alone time, even just to kind of
Mm.
get out by yourself. Again, maybe doing some self care when you're feeling that pressure, step away and sort of let things subside actually before you move forward.
That's
And
really
then
great advice, Christy. Yeah.
another thing I want to point out that I love is that we both share the same profile. And profile in a human design chart is sort of like how you show up in this world.
Hmm.
You and I are both the opportunist slash role model. And so naturally, you're doing a podcast like this because you're so connected probably to a lot of people, can have easily a lot of guests. I know that's how we found each other through our
Hmm.
social network connection. And then you're also the role model. So, um, you may be in the phase right now of like doing inner work, but when you reach the age of 50, you become a role model for others. All the life experiences you've had, all your inner work, you really become, a guide and help others. And me too. And I love that part because the role model can, hopefully impact and be really empowering to others.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just reflecting on how, since becoming an entrepreneur, which I'm still, at the time of this recording, still fairly new, it's been only a little over a year. It has, it has definitely forced some inner work, right? Because as a business owner, you're out there in the open, and the insecurities come in, and the imposter syndrome, and all that stuff, right? So it's been really important. I feel that just in the past year alone, I've tapped in and dug in deep with everything, the limiting beliefs and all that confidence building that I need to put myself out there to have offerings like this conversation.
Yeah, great. And it's great that you're doing that, because I'm saying, like, these days, in your business plan, you need self care. You need that to be part of how you're growing your business.
Mm-hmm.
That inner work can help you with removing blocks. And I also think, I just had a conversation recently with somebody about how doing the inner work will help you to trust yourself too in making decisions in your business, because sometimes you may choose to do things in your business where, you may have a coach or some other entrepreneur who's telling you, no, you're supposed to do things this way. And when you trust yourself and say, you know what, that's not right for me, and listen to yourself, it can just lead you down this path where you thrive more easily. You have more ease and flow. You're not trying to go against the grain, or what I'd even say, beat yourself up for, not achieving something that somebody else is telling you need to achieve.
That is so resonant. I just recently was telling folks on my team how, when you're first starting out, you see the best practices, right? What you're supposed to do as a business owner. But more recently, at the start of this new year, I've trusted myself more, and I feel like the results have been speaking for themselves, right? Because I am guiding myself through my intuition, through that sacral energy, and I'm going along with what I feel is a good fit for my business and attracting the right fit clients. So it's just lovely. I love these synchronicities that come up in this conversation.
Yeah, all good affirmations or validations on the path that you're on. So, I think that's why our paths have crossed.
For sure. Yeah. Kristi came here to say, Rowena, you're on the right track. Continue living on in your human design. Is there anything else in the chart that is worth mentioning for folks that are watching, listening, that may be something that they can look into when they check out their own charts?
Yeah, there is so much to
So
it. So I
yeah.
do want to say, you bite off small pieces at a time. I've learned about human design 6, 7 years ago, and I'm still like learning things about my chart and looking at things in different ways, hearing other people teach and share their um, insights about human design. So I'm learning from others, and it's really an amazing journey. It's a rabbit hole, so be aware that once you start to go down it,
Yeah.
you either really want to go, down it further, or it'll find you in the right time. That's the other thing. So don't put the pressure on yourself to know everything. And what I think is also important is that I love this phrase: human design is also an experiment. So you learn the information, and intellectually, we think, the head is sort of has the answers for everything. Well, we're giving ourselves information when we look at our human design chart, but then we really have to embody and experiment and
Mm.
live with our design and notice, what does that mean. So it's more of a daily practice. And I, even when I do a reading, I invite women into a container where I meet with them weekly in small
Mm.
groups, and we have conversations about it. So plug into a human design community. There's a lot on social media. There's a lot of places where just having conversation with others can help you to explore, who you truly are too.
My goodness, that's spoken from a true 4/6 right here. All about community and connection. That's wonderful, Kristi. That's an excellent way to just close and wrap up this conversation, right? That it is a living, breathing, daily embodiment practice. It is something that we are going to constantly be working on. And the fact that that's what I love about human design and similar modalities, that you can, you mentioned 6, 7 years ago, still learning things. I love that the nerd in me and the innately curious person in me loves the fact that human design, you can just continue to learn so much more. And especially when it comes to having conversations with others, that's just a beautiful way to learn more about ourselves and how we can interact with other people.
Definitely, for sure.
Well, speaking of community, where can folks find you? I believe you have a community and ways that people can connect with you and plug in and learn more about the work that you do.
Definitely. I thank you. I have a group on Facebook called Kristi's Human Design and Self Care Community. I'm on Instagram a little bit and under Kristi H. Sullivan. And I have a website that's also kristihsullivan.com. And you can find my book about human design there, my collaborative book with 25 other human design authors. You can find access to a digital course that gives, again, an overview of human design, or you can connect to me there if you're interested in doing a reading or coming to one of my workshops.
That sounds like a ton of fun. We'll be sure to put all of those links in the show notes so that folks can easily find you. Kristi, I just want to thank you so much for hopping on today and not only giving us a great overview of human design and what we can take away from it, but also, pulling up my chart and giving some insights for me personally as well. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we got to have some fun. And that was fun for sure. Thank you.
Definitely fun, especially me being like, "Oh my god, it's me. It's me." Awesome, awesome. Well, be sure to connect with Kristi and learn more about human design through her many offerings. As I mentioned, I'll make sure to put the links in the show notes, and wanted to talk very quickly about next week. So next week, we're going to be chatting with Nicole Mathewson, wellness coach and Ayurvedic health advisor. So Ayurveda, for folks that don't know, it's a very interesting system. And she's going to talk about how this healing system was able to change one woman's life when it came to a seemingly incurable digestive disorder. So, lots of interesting stories, lots more fun guests to come. But in the meantime, hop on Kristi's site, learn about human design, reach out to her. I'd love to know what types folks are, because that's always a fun exercise to be like, oh, you're a generator too, da, 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 similar to what we did here today. So from the two of us, 4-6 generators, we hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Take care.